Ladies and gentlemen, last week, the Lord and Saviour of the worst people on earth, men, Joe Rogan, was caught with the old Rona. And the reaction by the media, by Twitter, by the internet, by a lot of the most heinous people on earth was remarkable. People were fucking horrible.
He's been one of the loudest COVID vaccine skeptics.
It's a completely new kind of vaccine. The idea that people shouldn't be skeptical or nervous about that is kind of hilarious.
Now this morning, Joe Rogan, the mega popular podcaster and UFC commentator, says he tested positive for COVID.
He has yet to say publicly whether he is vaccinated and has gone against public health officials saying younger, healthy people don't need to get vaccinated.
One of those drugs he mentioned, ivermectin, is something more often used to deworm horses. CDC says there's no evidence it works on COVID. Its increased usage has only led to a substantial increase in overdoses after a push by some on the far right.
Joe's not just a podcaster or comedian or fight commentator. He's also a husband and a father. And for all these people who were so angry at him and so happy that he was ill, I thought it was quite strange because these are the same people that don't just see the coronavirus as something that is an illness and is a worry, but they treat it like the Black Death. But before I go any further, I have three important things to declare. Number one, I, Isaac Butterfield, have a stiffy for Joe. There is no hiding that fact. I've had a stiffy for Joe Rogan for a long time. I loved his podcast back in the Dizzy, and I love it now. I started listening to it when I was in year 11, and now 10, 11 years later, here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, he's had a massive influence on my life. There's no hiding from that. He's the reason I got into stand-up. He's the reason I started training jiu-jitsu and kickboxing and all that type of stuff. The reason I loved the UFC and MMA in general. The reason that I lost 35 kilos. The reason that I learned more since I've left school than I did when I was at school has a lot to do with the great Joe Rogues. So yeah, I get a little defensive. The second thing we need to talk about really quickly is the channel just hit 250 million views. That's insane. So thank you all very much for being a part of the channel. And to celebrate, I want to give you, well, not all of you something. You don't all deserve it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give 3 people, right? I'm going to give them something from the shelf. I'm going to send it to you. I'll sign it. I'll put it in my beard. I'll send some pubes with it. Something like that. All you have to do to be a part of that competition is down in the comment section down below, write "Me Dick Stinks." That's all you have to do. Me Dick Stinks. And I'm going to pick 3 people and send you some goodies. Yeah? Sounds good. The third thing, and I thought I'd squeeze this into the video because I didn't really want to make a full video about it because I don't want to get arrested. New surveillance law to combat crime on the dark web has civil liberty groups worried. Australian law enforcement agencies will be granted unprecedented extraordinary powers to tackle serious cybercrime, a move which has legal bodies and civil liberty groups deeply concerned. Now you may say this is covered by Sky News. You might think, oh, Sky News, yada yada. They were the only one who fucking covered it, so here we are. You may have seen people online talking about this week. The reason they are is because, yes, it does tackle serious crime and is in place to attack serious criminals like those who will harm children or drug trafficking or whatever. But it also harms people like you or me. It gives police the ability, without going to a judge, to go into your social media account, edit it, change it, delete it, and basically become you. This is some Orwellian shit. It gives them enormous power. Now, do I think that the police put this in place just so that they can spy on all of us? Probably not. But maybe someone will utilize that power in government in the future. And that is why we should be concerned. Have a look at this. More than 2 million Aussies to have internet search history scoured by employers. Now, why would that be a problem? You might be sitting there going, hey, if you want to see my internet search history, you go for it, mate. It's just going to be 2 girls, 1 cup, and 1 man, 1 jar. That's an invasion of privacy. And then in South Australia, which is insane, there is an app that you are forced to download and take a photo of yourself 3 times a day to prove where you are if you are positive with this virus. I didn't want to talk about any of those things. That's why I hid that in this video, because I don't want to have it broadcast out there that I'm even speaking out about this, because I don't want to get fucking thrown in jail like Friendly Geordie's producer. Anyway, back to today's main story with the Lord and Saviour, Joe Rogan.
Hello, friends. So I got back from the road Saturday night, feeling very weary. I had a headache, and I just felt just run down. And just to be cautious, I separated from my family, slept in a different part of the house, and throughout the night, I got fevers and sweats, and I knew what was going on. So I got up in the morning, got tested, and turns out I got COVID.
Joe posted this video and the internet went into a fucking frenzy. Have a look at this. This is the reaction from the media, from people we trust, we're supposed to trust, and from crazy people on Twitter about how Joe Rogan was now sick and with a potentially deadly illness. This is how they reacted. This is fucking insane. This is not how you're supposed to treat a fellow human being, regardless of whether or not you agree with their opinions on transgender bathrooms. Because that's why people hate Joe, because he spoke out against the mainstream view on transgender people. That's why most people hate him, remember? And now they want him dead. Has this from the New York Post, a trustworthy news media outlet apparently. Joe Rogan gets COVID-19 after urging listeners not to get the vaccine. Podcast host Joe Rogan, who has openly criticised the need for coronavirus vaccines, has been diagnosed with the virus. Okay, so Joe openly criticised the vaccines, and he has. His main point on it is he doesn't know how it will turn out in the future. And we don't know how it will turn out in the future. I think that's a fair point. I've said this a million times about this particular virus. We will not know the way we should have acted, the things we should have done for many, many years. We'll look back on this in 30, 40 years' time as a case study to work out what to do with a global pandemic. Obviously, we're flying by the seat of our pants, trying to work things out. And it's important to question things. You have to make these things up for yourself. They need to be an educated point of view, but you need to question shit, otherwise you'll just walk through life fucking blind. But they did provide a link here for how Joe criticised the COVID vaccines, and it takes us to another New York Post article. Joe Rogan tells 21-year-olds not to get COVID on popular Spotify show. When it comes to healthy younger people, Joe says getting the COVID vaccine isn't even worth a shot, despite advice from the CDC and medical experts saying otherwise. In the clip, Rogan says that vulnerable people should get the vaccine, and he's encouraged others to get it as well. However, people say, don't you think it's safe to get vaccinated? And he adds, I've said, yeah, for the most part, it's safe to get vaccinated. Did you look at that bit when you wrote the fucking headline? However, when discussing the young and healthy, specifically those around the early 20s age range, he later adds, look, don't do anything stupid. If you're a healthy person and you're exercising all the time and you're young and you're eating well, I don't think you need to worry about this. I don't know how Joe Rogan would have come to the conclusion that if you're young and healthy and not a vulnerable older person or a very sick person, you don't need to worry about this virus too much. I've said before that I'll get the vaccine, right? And I will. Joe has said that the vulnerable people need to be careful, and that is absolutely true. That's why I talked my grandparents into getting it. I also think it's important for young people to get vaccinated if what they've said about viral load is true. What I mean by that is if you are vaccinated, basically the idea is that you can't spread the virus as much. So if that is true, then that is a good idea for people to get vaccinated. And also, the main reason, not that I'm being forced to get it by the Australian government, but I have to go to work. What else am I going to do? But so many people online were just screaming fucking harpies. You know what they didn't do? They didn't search Joe Rogan clarifies his vaccine comments. Like 3 million people did, but apparently these fucking idiots who wrote these articles did not. Because if they did, they'd know this.
I'm not an anti-vax person.
Right.
In fact, I said I believe they're safe, and I encourage many people to take them. My parents were vaccinated. I just said I don't think that if you're a young, healthy person that you need it.
Wow, mind blown. Imagine doing your research as a fucking journalist. Must be tough. The main thing that people are upset about is how Joe Rogan treated the virus that he had. He did a lot of things, but the main thing is the use of ivermectin. So don't worry about all the other meds he took. Let's worry about the one thing, the one that is the horse dewormer. The FDA in America, that's the Therapeutic Goods Association in Australia, same sort of thing, they said on their Twitter, you're not a horse, you're not a cow, seriously, I'll stop it when it came to the use of ivermectin in treating the coronavirus. And the studies, they're not conclusive when it comes to this. There was one that I read that basically said, we don't know if it helped or hindered recovery. Probably not a good start, but we don't know yet. But I will say this, ivermectin is used in humans for things like parasites, intestinal strongyloidosis and aureocholitis. See? Why would you trust me with medical opinions? I can't even fucking enunciate them. But it could have promising effects. We don't know at this point. A lot of people are saying no, a lot of people are saying yes. Once again, I don't fucking know. But my point is about all of that, and the reason I brought it up is this is what the media are running with, that Joe Rogan's an idiot because he's been using horse dewormers. This story from the media is what's known as a false narrative. It is used to make him look like an idiot. And it's used to discredit him so that you won't listen to anything that he says. It's a cheap trick just to make him look foolish. What would be foolish is doing all this without medical supervision. And Joe, with his brand new $100 million deal from Spotify, I'm sure he had the medical supervision. So if you don't have medical supervision, don't do medical things, dickheads. So fast forward 2 days after the media going into meltdown, the internet going into meltdown, everyone freaking out, me freaking out because Joe's gonna die, he posts this, a negative COVID test. And even then, people were fucking angry.
So we all know that Joe Rogan had COVID a couple days ago, and he threw everything except the kitchen sink at it, despite, his excellent immune system. But here's what I'm starting to think. I'm starting to think that either one, he lied, or two, he was vaccinated.
Are you fucking insane, love? Are you fucking insane? At the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, I am happy that Joe is back to being healthy. That is wonderful news for his family and his fans. I also wonder, is it because of the drugs he took? Potentially. Also, it begs the question, is the reason he recovered so quickly because he is so physically fit? Because he has a really strong immune system from supplementation, proper food intake, and exercise. Why did he get healthy so quickly? And why are other people dying in hospital wards? Is it luck? Is it treatment? Is it health? I'm glad Joe's okay. I'm glad that the media freaked out. It's fun to watch. And I'm glad you're having a good day, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Be a good motherfucker. Peace in the Middle East. Me dick stinks. Toodaloo, au revoir. Bye-bye.